Hello and welcome to Psychology School. I hope you all are safe and fine. So today's video class is especially for the students of Psychology of Class 11 CBSE. And today we will discuss some other topics of Chapter 1, what is Psychology. So before starting, let's have a look to the correct answers of the questions of previous video class. So here are the answers. Answer number 1 includes natural and social science. Second answer is 1879. Third is structure. Fourth answer is William James. Fifth answer is William Wundt. Sixth answer is William James. And seventh is psychoanalysis. Eighth answer includes Carl Rogers and Abraham Maslow. Ninth answer includes B.F. Skinner and Ivan Pavlov. And the last answer is cognition. Well, moving on to the next topics of Chapter 1. Let's start with the development of psychology in India. So, the Indian traditional view of psychology is somewhat different from the modern psychology. And the Indian philosophical tradition focuses on mental processes, human consciousness, self, mind-body relations, and a variety of mental functions such as cognition, perception, illusion, attention and reasoning, etc. Now, Indian psychology is continuously dominated by Western psychology, but various attempts have been made in Indian philosophical traditions through scientific studies to establish the truth of various assertions. So, here are some major developments of psychology in India. In 1915, first psychology laboratory was established at Calcutta University, Department of Philosophy, where first syllabus of experimental psychology was introduced. In 1916, first Department of Psychology was started, and in 1938, Department of Applied Psychology was established in Calcutta University, and many more developments which are briefly mentioned here. So, psychology in India is now being applied in diverse professional areas. Not only have psychologists been working with children having special problems, they are also employed in hospitals as clinical psychologists, in corporate organizations, in HRD, in sports, and in IT industry. Well, moving on to our next topic, branches of psychology. During its journey of more than 100 years, psychology as a field of inquiry has grown in many directions. So, various fields of specialization in psychology have emerged over the years. So, the emergence of different fields in psychology indicates the importance of these areas in our daily life. We will discuss some of these fields. First is cognitive psychology, which deals with acquisition, storage, transformation and application of information the individual uses to understand and interpret events happening around him or her. So, cognitive psychology emphasizes the role of one's cognitive abilities like reasoning and thinking, intelligence, etc. in the process of learning, problem solving, creative output and adjustment, etc. Next is biological psychology, which focuses on the relationship between behavior and the physical system, including the brain and the nervous system, the immune system and genetics. So, this branch of psychology describes and explains the biological and psychological basis of behavior. One field which is related to this field is neuropsychology, which emerged as a field of research where psychologists and neuroscientists are working together. So, they study the role of transmitters, neurotransmitters or chemical substances which are responsible for neural communication in different areas of the brain and therefore in associated mental functions. Technologies like EEG and MRI are used in this field. Another branch is developmental psychology, which is concerned with the study of various physical and psychological factors which influence the systematic changes which the individual experiences across the different stages of life, that is from conception to old age. It gives us the knowledge of expected behavior, patterns, and personality characteristics at various stages of growth and development. Next is social psychology, which studies human behavior in relation to the social environment. It explores how people are affected by their social environments, how people think about and influence other people. So one's behavior as a member of a group, the process of communication and interpersonal relationships, group dynamics and social relationships, etc. are studied under this branch. Another branch is cross-cultural and cultural psychology, which studies the role of culture in behavior, thought and emotion. It focuses that human behavior is a product of culture. So behavior should always be studied or examined with reference to socio-cultural context, because one's culture influences human behavior. For example, the behavior of the people who belong to Western culture is different from Indian people in most of the situations. Next is environmental psychology. So environment plays a very important role in affecting and influencing the process of growth and development, behavioral patterns and learning, many other aspects. So this field is concerned with the study of interaction between physical environment and human behavior. It studies the impact of noise, heat, humidity, pollution and crowding on human performance. And it also focuses on the impact of physical environment on psychological health of individuals. Next is health psychology, which focuses on the impact of various psychological factors, for example stress and anxiety, on the onset, progress and treatment of illness. Since many of our physical problems are due to our anxieties, worries, stress, conflicts, frustrations, so health psychology aims at understanding the relationship between psychological factors and health. Another branch is clinical psychology, which is concerned with diagnosis and treatment of various psychological disorders such as depression, anxiety, eating disorders, and so on. So this field provides knowledge about abnormality of behavior and the underlying causes and symptoms of any psychological disorder. A clinical psychologist is trained in psychotherapeutic techniques which are used to treat people suffering from psychological disorders. They deal with more severe and serious psychological problems. Another branch is counseling psychology, which deals with mild or less serious problems related to adjustment in social and emotional life, marital problems, stress-oriented problems, and it aims to improve everyday functioning by helping people solve problems in daily living and cope more effectively with challenging situations. Next branch is industrial or organizational psychology, which is mainly concerned with application of psychological principles and models to study the selection and performance of employees in organizational settings. So it focuses workplace behavior, and this branch focuses on the training of employees, improving work conditions and developing criteria for selecting employees. Another branch is educational psychology. It is mainly concerned with academic performance and studies how people of all ages learn. It also studies the role of various factors which influence learning processes in classroom setting. An educational psychologist also helps students to overcome learning difficulties. And a school psychologist also helps in promoting intellectual, social, and emotional development of children, including children with special needs. Next branch is sports psychology, which plays an important role in bringing desirable improvement in the processes and persons connected with the sports world. It applies psychological principles for bringing improvement in the mental and physical health of the players. Well, there are many other new branches of psychology which have emerged, like military psychology, forensic psychology, rural psychology, political psychology, and so on. Now, let's discuss the themes of research and applications. So, here we are going to discuss that what psychologists do. The main activities of psychologists are research and application. So, firstly, they do research about any relevant topic or concept and then develop theories and laws. Finally, they apply these principles to different situations. So, these themes are the basic ideas which are followed by psychologists in the field of research and application. So, theme 1 is psychology, like other sciences, attempts to develop principles of behavior and mental processes. So, here the main objective is understanding and explanation of behavior and mental processes. Like other scientists, psychologists also develop laws, theories, and principles by doing study and experiments. And the conclusions drawn on the basis of the studies apply to everybody and therefore they are universal. For example, experimental psychologists study the processes of perception, memory, learning, etc. using experiment as their method of inquiry. Second theme is human behavior is a function of the attributes of persons and environment. So Kurt Lewin was the first who proposed that behavior is the product of a person and his or her environment. So psychologists have found that human behavior is guided by psychological characteristics as well as environmental factors. Third theme is human behavior is caused. Like other science, psychology also gives lots of causes, factors and reasons behind any human behavior. A behavior has multiple causes. So psychologists always give causal explanations. Theme 4 says that understanding of human behavior is culturally constructed. Psychologists believe that psychological theories or principles related to one particular culture cannot be applied to other cultures. Theme 5 is human behavior can be controlled and modified through the application of psychological principles. So the main purpose is to develop techniques or methods that will improve the quality of human life. So psychologists also seek to make interventions or required changes into the lives of needy people. Now the next topic is difference between basic and applied psychology. So there is no clear difference between research and basic field and application of psychology, but the emphasis on the study of certain subject matters. So basic psychology provides us with the theories and principles that form the basis of application of psychology in various fields, whereas applied psychology provides different contexts in which the theories and principles can be meaningfully applied. Many fields of psychology focuses on the research, therefore they are research oriented, and other fields focuses on the application of principles, hence they are application oriented. Now moving on to the next topic, psychology and other disciplines. Many other disciplines or fields have recognized the significance of psychology as a discipline. Psychology shares its knowledge with other subjects also, and it is linked to many other disciplines like political science, education, economics, philosophy, computer science, music and fine arts, law, mass communication, architecture and sociology. So we will briefly discuss the relationship between these fields or disciplines and psychology. Well, in philosophy, until the end of 19th century, major concerns were what is the nature of the mind or how do humans come to know their motivations and emotions. Despite the emergence of psychology as a science, it draws from philosophy with respect to methods of knowing and various aspects of human nature. Second discipline is medicine, as it is true that healthy body requires a healthy mind. So the role of psychologists is equally important like doctors. Psychologists help patients by psychological counseling. Other disciplines are economics, political science, and sociology. So psychology has contributed in all three fields. So American economists have used data on consumer sentiments, predict economic growth. Political science use psychology in understanding the issues related to exercise of power and authority, nature of political conflicts, and voting behavior. Whereas sociology and psychology come together to explain and understand the behavior of individuals within different socio-cultural contexts. Next is the field of computer science. Computer scientists and engineers are seeking to make computers not only more and more intelligent but also machines which can sense and feel. So these developments have brought about significant advancement in the field of cognitive sciences. Next is law and criminology. Detection of crimes and dealing with criminals have been greatly influenced by psychology. And psychology helps in finding evidence and research of several questions which would help the legal system of the country. Music and psychology are also related in some way. Music is used by scientists for raising work performance. Psychologists also use music therapy in treatment. And the last comes architecture and engineering. Psychological knowledge helps in designing of all mechanical devices and displays. And architects also use psychology in order to provide satisfying designs. Engineers must also take account human habits in their plans for safety. So these were the major disciplines which are related to psychology in many ways. Now we will discuss about psychologists who work in a variety of settings and help people to cope effectively with the problems of their lives. So the main human service areas include clinical, counseling, community, school, and organizational psychology. So let's discuss about these areas in brief. So clinical psychologists are trained and specialized in treating behavioral problems and psychological disorders. By providing therapy, they have a degree in psychology and they use tests for diagnosis. They work as private practitioners or at hospitals and institutions. The difference between psychiatrists and clinical psychologists is that psychiatrists have a medical degree and can prescribe medicines, but clinical psychologists cannot. Counseling psychologists deal with less severe problems or mild problems. They work with persons who suffer adjustment, motivational and emotional problems. They work in schools, colleges and other institutions. Community psychologists generally deal with problems related to community. They work for mental health agencies, private organizations, also deal with special population such as elderly people or children with special needs. School psychologists work in educational system. They facilitate communication between students, parents and teachers and also provides information about the academic performance of a student and help students with their problems. Organizational psychology deals with the problems of the employees and executives of an organization. They provide training programs to the organization in order to enhance skills, efficiency and effectiveness. Well, so far we have discussed about various developments in the field of psychology, its branches and its importance in other subjects or disciplines. But the most important thing is that psychology is very useful in our everyday life. With the help of psychology, we can solve any problem of our life. We face many stressful situations in our day-to-day life and often think negative and hopeless about the problems. But psychology provides solutions to our life problems, whether it is related to education, family, health or relationships. The knowledge of psychology helps us to develop a positive attitude towards life and we can understand ourselves very well. We can learn the ways of coping with our stress and students can develop good habits of study for improving learning and memory. And adults can solve their personal and interpersonal problems by using psychological principles. So therefore, psychology is quite useful in our everyday life. So with this we have finished chapter 1 of psychology, and here are the sample questions. You can practice these questions and can give answers in the comment box. The answers will be provided in the next video class. Thank you very much. Stay home, stay safe and keep learning.